Chapter 6. The Panvadas
Oh,
are
did you want
born.
to share it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would like to share it. Where's my share button? Chapter 6. The Panvadas are born. Upon the birth of Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, the earth prospered. There was an abundant harvest of crops, and all the trees were laden with fruit and flowers. The seasons arrived and passed on time, and there was an ample rainfall in the land of Parvashta. The people became learned, brave, and honest, and guided by Maharaja Bhishma performed devotional sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. The people of Hastinapura were so contented with the rule of Maharaja Bhishma that they thought they were living in Vakunta planets. Hearing of Karu's prosperity, people came to take shelter in that kingdom. Thus, under the influence of godly king, the earth prospered. Maharaja Raja Bhishma raised the three children, Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, as if they were his own. As Pandu grew, he excelled all men in archery, whereas Dhritarashtra excelled in personal strength. And it was soon known to everyone that there was no one equal to Vidura in devotion to Bhishma and knowledge of the dictates of mortality. In due course of time, Pandu became king, for Dhritarashtra was blind, and Vidura was born of a maidservant. Therefore, neither of them could accept the throne. As Dhritarashtra and Pandu matured in age, the time came to marry them to proper wives. Considering the situation, Bhishma decided that three princesses were worthy of being married to Kuru Princes. They were Ganhari, the daughter of Ganhara King Petra, the daughter of King Surasena, and Madri, the daughter of King Madras. Bhishma had heard of Ganhari's, the daughter of King Subala, was granted a benediction by Lord Shiva that she could have 100 sons. Attracted to the idea of marrying Dhritarashtra to Ganhari, Bhishma, the grandfather of the Kurus, sent messengers to the father of Ganhari. King Subala at first hesitated, hearing that Dhritarashtra was blind, but taking into consideration the bloodline of the Kurus, he contested to marry her to Dhritarashtra. When the chaste Ganhari heard of the future husband was blind, she voluntarily blindfolded herself and took a vow to remain so for the rest of her life. Shakuni, the son of Subala, then took Ganhari to the city of Kurus, Hastinapura, and formally handed her to Dhritarashtra. Ganhari became so chaste and devoted to Dhritarashtra that she never spoke of men other than her husband or her superiors. The chief of the Vadu dynasty and Surasena was Surasena. He was the father of the Magnus Vasudeva. He also had a daughter named Prita, who was unrivaled with beauty among earth women. She was adopted by King Kunti Bhuja, who had no children. This was an agreement made previously by two kings. They agreed that if a girl was born to Surasena, she would have handed over to King Kunti Bhuja, who was childless. Thus, who later became known as Kunti, lived in the palace of King Kunti Bhuja and looked after the duties of greeting important guests and Brahmas. Once during her youthful years, she pleased by the menial service the easily angered Brahmana Durvasa Muni. The Muni gave her a benediction that she could call any celestial being from the heavenly rains to produce children of the highest quality. Kunti, while still a virgin girl, once called out curiosity. Suri, the son of God, when she chanted the mantra, the son of God immediately appeared before her, saying, I have come before you, O lotus eyed lady. Please fulfill the purpose of the mantra. Kunti was stunned and told the sun god, I am simply I simply tested the mantra given to me the Durvasa Muni. O Lord, please forgive my offense, Surya replied. Once I have been called to this mantra, the result cannot go in vain. I must bear fruit. Although you will bear a son to me, you shall remain a virgin girl. Thus, succumbing the desires of the diva, Kunti immediately conceived and bore a child that was equal to the sun god himself. The child was born with natural golden armor and glittering earrings. To keep his virginity intact, the sun god arranged that the child be born from Kunti's ear, and for this reason the child was named Karna. The sun god immediately ascended to heaven, knowing what to do. Kunti placed the child in a basket and set it afloat on the Ganges. She prayed to the sun god to protect the child. The god, the child floated down the river for some time and was eventually picked up by a carpenter and a chariot driver named Adirata. In great happiness, he took the newly found child to his wife Radha, who was childless. Together, both mother and father began to care for the child, considering him a gift of providence. Unfortunately, Kunti had to give the child up out of fear of her relatives. When it was time for Kunti to be married, her foster father, Kunti Bhuja, invited princes and kings from other countries to be present. In this Swabamara Vara wedding ceremony, she was to pick her husband. The budding youthful Kunti, upon entering the assembly hall, saw the handsome Pandu, proud as a lion, broad chested, and endowed with surpassable prowess. He was like the moon amidst its many luminaries. Advancing with modesty, she placed the wedding garland around Pandu's neck, and thus she accepted the Kuru prince as her beloved husband. King Kutibuja arranged for the wedding functions and bestowed upon Pandu a large dowry. Afterwards, Pandu took his wife back to Hastinapura and gave her the opulence she deserved. Sometime later, Bhishma set his heart upon getting Pandu married to his second wife. Accompanied by his army, Bhishma went to the kingdom of Madras. There he attained Madri, the attractive sister of Salya, and after receiving a sufficient dowry, brought her back to Hastinapura, where she was united to Pandu in great pomp. After some time, Pandu set his mind on conquering the world. With the vast army consisting of many Akshayini divisions of soldiers, Pandu subjugated one country after another. A solid phalanx of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 109 650 infantry, and 65,000 cavalry is called an Ashanini. He first conquered the robbers' tribes of Arshwana. He next headed toward the kingdom of Magdaha, where they reigned a king named Deirdre. The king was proud of his strength and made, numerous offenses against other monarchs. Pandu broke the strength of his army and killed him on the field of battle. Taking everything in the king's treasury, he marched to Mithila and subjugated the Vidhas. He then conquered the kingdoms of Kashi, Samba, and Pundra. When all the kings of the world were thus defeated, they considered Pandu to the demigod like Indra, the king of heaven. They paid tribute to him and offered all kinds of wealth to gain his favor. Thus the Kuru king returned to his capital, taking with him his acquired opulence. After establishing his power over earth, King Pandu retired to the forest along with the two wives, Kunti and Madri. There they lived in opulence and enjoyed the beautiful wooded areas at the base of the Himalayan mountains. One day, Pandu, while roaming over the forest, saw a large deer that seemed to be the leader of the herd. It was engaged in sex with its female companion. Pandu pierced them both with 5 sharp arrows. The animal was not actually a deer, but Rashi's son of great aesthetic merit, who was enjoying his mate in the form of a deer. When pierced in this way, the deer fell, utterly crying like a human being. In anger, the deer chastised Maharaju Pandu. O king, even men that are slaves to lust and anger, and who are ever sinful, never commit cruel acts such as this. Why you have pierced me with arrows while I was enjoying my wife? Kings engage in sport of killing deer in the same way as they kill opponents of religion, Pandu replied. You should not reproach me for a sin done in ignorance. Animals of species are killed in open or hidden from view. Formerly, the sage Agastya, while engaged in the performance of sacrifice, killed every deer in the forest and offered it to the heavenly gods. I am presently killing deer in the forest for use in sacrifice. You have been killed for the same reason. Seeing that I am following in the footsteps of the great sages, why do you reproach me? O king, the deer replied, I do not blame you for slaying a deer, but instead of acting so cruelly, you should have waited till the act of intercourse was complete. I am a Muni named Kindama, and I engage in sexual intercourse with my mate because unrestricted sex life is not allowed in human society. You have slain me without knowing that I am a Brahmana, and therefore the reaction of killing a Brahmana will not come upon you. However, because you killed me while I was enjoying my life, certainly your fate will be like mine. When you approach your wife for intercourse, premature death will overcome you and your wife. You have brought lamentation to me when I was seeking happiness, and now I say to you, grief will come to you when you seek pleasure with your wife. Pronouncing his course, the sage in the form of the deer left his body and attained the heavenly realms due to his aesthetic merits. Um, let's see how much more we have. I'm gonna stop there. I think we have